Sean Diddy Combs, even while inside the Brooklyn Metropolitan Detention Center, was reportedly still exerting significant influence. Investigators were beginning to uncover unsettling patterns of behavior from him, suggesting that he may have been bending the rules to suit his own interests. Despite being detained, Diddy wasn't simply laying low or keeping to himself. Instead, it appeared he was maneuvering behind the scenes, potentially attempting to sway the outcome of his legal case. The rumors began when People magazine published an article detailing his continued grip on power. This wasn't your average inmate story. It was about a man whose name alone commanded respect and fear in equal measure, even behind bars. Diddy was no ordinary detainee. His presence seemed to loom over the facility like a shadow, and his influence was allegedly extending beyond the prison walls. One of the most startling allegations investigators were looking into involved Diddy's interactions with certain prison staff and fellow inmates. There were whispers that he had managed to charm or intimidate those around him into doing his bidding. It wasn't just a question of leveraging his celebrity status, it was deeper than that. Investigators were uncovering a series of favors, unusual requests, and subtle power plays that painted a picture of a man unwilling to relinquish control, even in confinement. For instance, there were reports of unauthorized communication. Normally, inmates were limited to strict schedules and closely monitored calls or visits. However, sources alleged that Diddy had somehow bypassed these regulations. There were rumors of secret phone calls and hidden letters, all pointing toward an orchestrated effort to maintain his sway in the outside world. The details of these communications weren't clear, but investigators suspected they could include messages to his legal team, former associates, or even potential witnesses in his case. It was a dangerous game, one that could have serious consequences for everyone involved. Adding to the intrigue were claims about Diddy's interactions with guards. Several corrections officers had been seen spending more time than usual near his cell. While it was common for high-profile inmates to receive extra attention, whether out of fascination or the need for security, there was something about these interactions that raised eyebrows. Some staff members were allegedly overheard discussing favors they had done for him, from delivering items not available through the prison commissary to granting him access to areas he shouldn't have been allowed to visit. The most controversial of these allegations involved attempts to influence his case. Investigators were exploring the possibility that Diddy had reached out to individuals with the power to impact his trial. This could include potential jurors, witnesses, or even people within the legal system itself. While nothing concrete had been proven yet, the idea of an inmate manipulating such high-stakes situations from behind bars was alarming. It was a testament to his resourcefulness and his desperation. Meanwhile, the public was watching all of this unfold with a mix of fascination and horror. Diddy's legal troubles had already captivated the nation, but these new revelations added another layer of drama. People couldn't stop talking about how someone in his position could wield so much power despite the constraints of incarceration. For his fans, it was proof of his resilience and cleverness. For his critics, it was evidence of corruption and privilege. Back inside the detention center, the mood among the other inmates was reportedly tense. Some admired Diddy for his ability to bend the system to his will, seeing him as a kind of folk hero. Others resented him, feeling that his special treatment only highlighted the inequalities they faced. Rumors of bribes and preferential treatment didn't help matters. There were murmurs of jealousy, anger, and even plans to expose what was happening. The guards, too, were caught in a difficult position. Those who didn't work directly with Diddy but were aware of the situation found themselves questioning the integrity of their workplace. Were the rumors true? And if so, what could they do about it? Speaking out against such a powerful figure wasn't easy, especially when they knew he had connections that could make their lives difficult, even outside of prison. All of this was unfolding as Diddy prepared for his next court hearing. It would be his third attempt to secure his release, and this time, he seemed more determined than ever. His legal team was pulling out all the stops, arguing that his detention was unjust and that the charges against him were exaggerated. They painted a picture of a man being targeted because of his success and influence, a narrative that resonated with some members of the public but rang hollow to others. For the investigators, the stakes were higher than ever. They needed to gather enough evidence to prove that Diddy was breaking the rules and trying to corrupt the system. But it wasn't just about holding him accountable. It was about sending a message. If someone as powerful as Diddy could be brought to justice, it would show that no one was above the law. At the same time, they knew they were up against a formidable opponent. Diddy wasn't just a celebrity, he was a master strategist, someone who had built an empire through a combination of talent, charisma, and cunning. If anyone could navigate the complexities of a situation like this, it was him. But would his skills and connections be enough to save him this time? As the days passed, tension around the case continued to grow. News outlets covered every twist and turn, analyzing the implications of each new revelation. Social media was ablaze with debates about his guilt or innocence, with hashtags and memes spreading like wildfire. Everyone had an opinion, and no one could look away. In the meantime, Diddy remained at the center of it all, a man who seemed untouchable despite his circumstances. Whether he was guilty or not, one thing was clear. His influence was as strong as ever, and the world wasn't done talking about him yet. Federal prosecutors have unearthed damning evidence that could lead to the denial of bail for Sean Diddy Combs for the third time. Investigators reportedly found incriminating notes in his jail cell suggesting that he paid a witness to post a public statement on Instagram related to a lawsuit from last fall. This shocking discovery further strengthens the case against the hip-hop mogul, who is currently facing charges of sex trafficking and other serious offenses. The prosecutor's opposition to Diddy's renewed bail motion is rooted in more than just these notes. They allege that Diddy has been exploiting every loophole he can find to evade law enforcement monitoring. This isn't just a matter of bending the rules, it's an outright defiance of the legal system. Among the most concerning allegations is Diddy's use of phone accounts belonging to at least 8 other inmates. This move appears to be a calculated effort to disguise his communications and avoid detection. Normally, all inmate calls are closely monitored by the Bureau of Prisons, but Diddy found a way to subvert this system. Federal prosecutors claim to have reviewed dozens of calls in which Diddy instructed his contacts to add other individuals via 3-way calls, something explicitly prohibited by prison regulations. The implications of these 3-way calls are deeply troubling. Not only do they violate prison rules, but they also suggest an orchestrated effort to manipulate witnesses and tamper with evidence. On these calls, Diddy reportedly gave direct instructions to those on the outside. These conversations allegedly included specific guidance on how to influence the narrative surrounding his case. Whether through social media posts, public statements, or other means, it seemed clear that Diddy was attempting to sway public opinion and, potentially, the outcome of his trial. But the rule-breaking didn't stop there. Diddy also allegedly bribed other inmates to use their personal access codes for jail phone calls. Prosecutors believe he used payment processing apps and commissary account deposits to fund these transactions, essentially renting access to phone lines in exchange for financial favors. This allowed him to continue making unauthorized calls under the radar of prison authorities. Such actions not only highlight Diddy's resourcefulness, but also his willingness to exploit others for personal gain. One of the most jaw-dropping details from the 30-page filing by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York is the extent of Diddy's influence within the detention center. By putting money on inmates' books and funneling payments through digital platforms, he effectively created a network of collaborators within the prison walls. This network helped him bypass the strict communication protocols in place, giving him a platform to potentially manipulate his case. The notes found in his cell added another layer of intrigue. These handwritten documents reportedly outlined a strategy to pay a witness to make a public statement on Instagram. This wasn't just a random social media post. It was a carefully planned move aimed at discrediting allegations against him or altering public perception.